Welcome to another hot day on Open Hand Farm. Actually, today's not supposed to be quite 100. Tomorrow will be another story. It's supposed to be 102. So I did deeply water my plants last night, and I'm hoping that will get it through. So let's see what we got going on up front. You can see behind me the raspberries are still going crazy, but still no red berries. I've been watering in hopes that that will help. All the boxes I pretty much emptied out and have planted either new seeds or seedlings, so there's really not much to see there. We are going to go over here to the apple area and look at some things going on there. Over here we have comfrey and yarrow that are going crazy. We also have ongoing growing cantaloupes, and as you can see, they're getting more and more ripe, but they're not quite ready yet, almost. Some are bigger than others. We have new ones coming on, but as you can see, there's quite a few of them. I'm pretty excited. I've actually never grown cantaloupes, so I'm really anxious to cut into them and see how they taste. I've had a few little red raspberries on the new raspberry bushes that I planted, but I want their tails to be long enough to attach to that fence there, and they're not quite there yet, so they're having to lay on the ground. We are getting some. They're not real big, and they're a little dry because of all the lack of rain, but I'll just let the birds eat those. So this comfrey plant, I'm actually going to do some cutting from it today. My friend Stacy, who taught my herbal class, I'll link that video if you want to see it. She wants to do some comfrey salve. So I'm going to cut some of this, and then she'll be over tomorrow morning and start making some oil out of it, which you have to do first, and then you use the oil to make salve. If you're interested in attending a class on salve making, let me know in the comments. Or if you're interested in a video of it, let me know that too. Let's get some comfrey clipped. Comfrey is kind of soft and furry, but you want to wear gloves if you're going to be handling it a lot because it's a little pokey too. I'm going to pick these younger tender leaves because I've read that they have more potent medicinal value. So we're going to grab some of those. See all these nice tender leaves. So there's some. Let's clip this one. Here's a good one. And I know some of you might be thinking, you're going to clip the whole growth of the plant off, then what are you going to do? Don't you worry. I have cut back these comfreys time and time again, and they just keep coming back full force, really big, much bigger than when I cut them off the first time. I have actually some dried comfrey that I cut last week, and I'm going to use that myself to make some oil. Different people like to make their oils different ways. I like to dry mine because then I can make the oil whenever I want to. And I could use some in the winter time to make some oil or in the summertime. So this is how many I clipped for her. I hope that's enough. She likes hers to wilt for about a day, and then she uses it fresh to make her oil and just kind of brushes it off. I think she'll be happy with it. I did want to show you my calendula. It doesn't have very many blooms that are open, and if you look at it, you might think, ooh, it needs water. Well, the problem is not water, and it's really not a problem. The reason that you should plant calendula in your garden is because it attracts the aphids so that they don't get on your other plants. So, I don't know if you can see, if I get up real close here, see all the little aphids? They are enjoying these calendula. So what I will do is I will just cut them all back and get rid of these plants so that the aphids don't go somewhere else. And then they will just regrow and rebloom again in this fall. So that's a good reason to plant calendula, other than the fact that the flower is medicinal. And I did finally get enough flowers to make some calendula oil, so I'm happy that I was able to do that before I have to cut them back. So I'm going to make some calendula salve with that. I will put the medicinal value of calendula salve in the comments. Let me know if you've ever used or made calendula salve. In this part of our front yard, we have this old tractor, and we really like it there, but we don't like the fact that it gets weeds all in it. So we've tried different things, like putting these boards on, putting mulch on it, putting cardboard down, and it just doesn't work well. The mulch comes over the edges, and it's just hard to maintain. So we talked about it the other day, and we decided that we needed to dig out the dirt, which would also lift up some of the weeds, and we needed to then cover it with black cloth, maybe even some cardboard under the black cloth to make it really block out weeds, and then put the mulch in. We could also put a second row on that border, but we don't really want to do that. So Mark has started the process of shoveling it and bringing it down to a lower level. We'll check back on this in a couple of weeks and see how it looks. And yes, we still have some mulch in our front, but we're getting it. We've been taking some of it down the hill, which I will tell you, it's much easier than carrying it up a hill. But some of this will also go into that project that Mark's working on. And we also want to put a new layer in the chicken run, so we'll work on that too. All right, let's check out this back garden. I gotta tell you, I'm so worried about my tomatoes. We did put some sheets over the top of the arbor to try to give them some shade during the heat of the day. I think it's helped a little bit, and I have so many tomatoes, so many, but they're not turning colors yet. Some are just starting. Because it's so hot, we've had a lot of birds and squirrels taking drinks from them. So anytime I see one that's even close to turning, like that one is starting to get there, the one on the left is blushing a little. Look at all of these tomatoes, you guys. But if they look like they are pretty much like halfway red, I'm taking them in and letting them finish in there. The herbs are doing fine. I do have some chamomile, which is fun. Got some coming up on this one too. I'll show you here. See, somebody needed a drink, so they decided to drink out of my tomato. So this tomato would be one that I almost, well, you know what? Look at that. There's another one. I am going to go ahead and pull this tomato off. Since those two have been chewed on, I don't want this one to be chewed on. So I will take it inside and let it finish. I have really been clipping back any that are, that's a nice big one in there. I've been clipping back any leaves that are too low or are suckers, so that during this heat it does not have to work as hard to maintain the tomatoes. I want to show you my squash. This little plant right here was struggling. So last night I went ahead and clipped off the ones that were so bad, and I do see right here a little nymph of a squash bug. So we're gonna have to start dealing with those. I think I'm just gonna spray them with soapy water tonight before I go to bed and see what we can do. Mark said, I think that your little squash there on the front is dead. I'm like, no. And so I came out and it did have some really bad limbs on it. So I went ahead and cut those off, and it's perked up this morning. I also last night when I watered them all, I'll show you this. That little squash is getting big and fat. When I watered all the squash, I went ahead and put a new layer of Zoom-a-New over the top of it to just kind of seal in the water and cover any roots that were showing to help maintain it through this heat. But it's still going well. I do have some aphids that are wanting to be on my leaves. So like I said, soapy water tonight will hopefully take care of any of the aphids as well as the squash bugs. I'm going to give you a peek down in here. Can you see that pumpkin? I think that is one of the cheese pumpkins, which is kind of a flatter, very ribbed, dusty orange pumpkin. And there's a few more throughout here. Some of these are really long, but I haven't seen a lot of fruit on them. But it is still July, so maybe next month we'll be seeing some more. Now, the green coash, it's going crazy. It's got lots and lots on it. I did trim off some dead leaves from it last night because it was looking a little rough, but it's going great. Look how tall those leaves are getting, reaching up for the sun. Now, during the day, I'm going to put a picture in here. You'll see what it looks like during the day. It's not a happy camper during the day when that heat hits it. Look at this one. This one is really big. I love it. Here's another one, really big. We've got several of these. I'm pretty excited about that. They're all throughout here, different sizes. Some are smaller than others, but they're doing really well. Now the cowpeas, or black-eyed peas, are doing well. I don't know if you've ever seen them grow. Let me show you what they look like. They grow with two on a stem, and you let them stay on there until they are brown, and then you pick them and you hull them. You take the black-eyed pea out. So you can see we have several of the bean, there's always two, so several of the bean sets, and then we've got some coming on up here, and it just keeps growing and growing and growing. So they're doing really well. This one's got some good bean sets on it, so we'll see how that works. Oh, I can smell this dill. It smells so good. That bean there is kind of running off, so I'll get in when it gets a little bit longer and attach it to the cow panel. Just show you an overall of the food forest as I go inside the door. It's doing well. All these flowers right here are so pretty. I just love them. The zinnias, snapdragons, the other zinnias, the new jazzy red, are down there. I've got some asters, but they haven't bloomed yet. I'll show you another plant that I really like. These asters are getting ready to bloom, maybe. Inside the forest, we have our cherry tomatoes that are still green, but still growing. I had asked earlier in the summer, should I leave the lights on the cow panel along with the tomatoes, or should I take them down? And I had some people say leave them on, so I did. So let me show you what that looks like at night. It's so pretty. I love it. I'm really glad I made that decision. Thank you for your input. So over here we have all of the peppers still growing taller and taller. And I am getting lots of peppers and still lots of baby pepper coming on. The flowers are doing great. I was going to show you this plant. This is something new to me this year. And it's funny, I bought it and then I didn't get it in the ground. I thought it had died, but I went ahead and stuck it in the ground. And it's called Kiss Me Over the Garden Gate. And it has these little flower stems that come up and eventually will hang over. and I have 2 of them. So even though I planted it when I thought it was dead, it ended up spreading and making another plant. Never give up, you guys, never give up. More peppers. Oh, look at that. I have planted these peppers for years and never seen one. They are the monster yellow, so it'll keep growing even bigger and then turn yellow. This one seems to be rotting, so that's sad. These okras are doing well. I have been picking a few okra here and there. The yarrow is starting to kind of fall over, but there's new yarrow coming. More okra. It's getting very tall now. It's about 3 feet tall. It will get way taller than that. And look at all the little blooms in this one. That's going to be a lot of okra. I just clipped some yesterday. And this is fun. We have baby figs. There's not many yet, but they'll come. Here are my Malabar spinaches. They're growing even in this heat. This one is really growing. I had tied it up when it was like this tip was like right here. So it's grown about 3 inches. It took it a few minutes to start the growing process, but now that it has started, it should be growing up this very nicely. Let me just kind of feed it through there. So we should be eating it soon. I can't say enough about this kale, you guys. It just keeps going, even in this extreme heat. It's amazing. It's gonna be time to trim these peach trees back, and we're gonna trim them way back this year, probably to about 3 feet. We did get to pick a Saturn peach off of this tree behind me. We saw somebody at the farmer's market that had some, so it was nice to see what they needed to look like in order to be picked. So we came home and looked at ours, and we had one that was ready. So we picked it. You guys, it was so good. It's a white peach. It's a small white peach. I didn't know that when we ordered them. We actually got these as a bundle of 3 trees that pollinate each other. So I wasn't sure what I was getting, but the taste was amazing. It was like eating sugar. It was so good. But I just wanted to look right now and see if the other 3 or 4 that were on there were ready. I don't see them anywhere. Apparently they were ready, but somebody else beat me to them. That is frustrating. I don't know about you guys, but I have had more produce stolen this year, probably due to all of the heat, and they're looking for something that is wet and juicy. But it's frustrating. I've never had that before. But anyway, I guess I'll just have to wait till next year, and hopefully it'll have a lot more for me to try. Well, I guess that's it for today. I really don't have a lot of changes to show you due to the weather. There's just not a lot happening. Although I will say things are growing. They're just not producing like I would like them to at this point. I really want my tomatoes to get red, but what gardener doesn't right now? I just hope next week I have some more promising things to show you. So, thank you so much for coming along on this tour with me. It's starting to get warm out here, so I'm going to get inside, and I hope that you have a wonderful day. And if you haven't subscribed, please do, or please share this video on my YouTube page. I know some of you share it on Facebook, and that's amazing too. But while you're watching it, there's a little button down below that says share, and you can share it there, either on Facebook or wherever you would like to share it. And that would really help my channel. Thank you so much. And until next time, blessings on you and yours.